You do not have to give up dessert just because you have diabetes. Now, desserts are often seen as off limits for people with diabetes, but the truth is that you can actually still indulge without sabotaging your blood sugar. The issue, I'd argue, is not dessert itself. It is the ingredients that are typically used in them. Now, by swapping these sugar spiking ingredients for ones that actually help curb your glucose control, you can enjoy sweet treats without any of the guilt. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain why traditional desserts can actually derail your blood sugar, trigger energy crashes, and then ultimately lead to stubborn cravings. And then we're going to talk through how to actually transform dessert into something that will, in fact, support your diabetes. Stick around till the end because I'm also going to share with you a bonus tip that my patients have taught me, which helps them curb the late night sweet cravings once and for all. Hey, I'm Dr. Anna. I'm a medical doctor, and I use this YouTube channel to help people like you with diabetes take control of your health in a way that is simple, sustainable, and delicious. So, here's what I want you to think about. You've probably been in this situation before. You know how this goes. You've been working hard all day long to manage your diabetes, and you made great choices. Your breakfast was balanced, you nailed your lunch, and you chose to have a healthy dinner. But you're somebody that just needs to finish your day off with a sweetness, a flavor that is satisfying and helps you relax in your evening. As soon as you sit down after dinner, you're realizing it's time for something sweet. You want to finish off your day, but you end up reaching for a slice of cake, a bowl of ice cream, because you think, well, I've done so well all day, I can fit this in. It's not a problem. I have some wiggle room here. But actually, as soon as you finish that dessert, you immediately feel guilty and you're worried. Now your blood sugar might start spiking. Your energy is going to go haywire right in the time of day when you're trying to relax, and it can cause your sleep to be disrupted. Now, does this sound familiar? Well, if so, you're not alone. I have seen this time and time again, and I can tell you it does not have to be this way. So let's talk about this. Traditional desserts are usually packed with refined sugar, white flour, unhealthy fats, and especially pre-made desserts that you can buy are often filled with these thickeners, these agents, things to enhance texture, keep them shelf stable, but are really not good for our bodies. And for people with diabetes, you might be very well aware that fast digesting ingredients and fast digesting sugars like white sugar wreak absolute havoc on our metabolism, and they cause our blood sugar to spike, crash, to stay irregular. It can make our management of our diabetes extremely difficult. And then over time, this is going to lead our body into a vicious cycle of high energy, low energy, fatigue, sleepless nights, and even more serious health complications, unfortunately, of which there are many when it comes to diabetes. So when your blood sugar starts fluctuating so wildly, the unfortunate truth is that it does not just show up in your numbers. This is going to impact your mood, your energy, your overall well-being, and the rest of your life. Now, you might find yourself in a situation where you're battling these late-night cravings. You feel exhausted, and then the next morning, you can't pick your energy back up, and you're constantly worrying about the long-term toll this is taking on your health. Now, this cycle can be devastating. It's disheartening to be stuck in this vicious pattern, and you might start to feel like you have to choose between enjoying dessert and managing your diabetes overall. So, what's the ultimate problem here? The problem and the real culprit is what I like to think of as a lack in the healthy trifecta. Your dessert is not providing you nutrients your body needs, and we're going to break down what this is. So, without these essential nutrients, the healthy trifecta, there is sugar in your dessert that ends up hitting your bloodstream too fast. Without balanced nutrition, that sugar will lead to a high glucose spike in your bloodstream, and then it will ultimately crash back down without staying even throughout that time period. You need to ultimately break this cycle. And the only way to do this is to have desserts that balance healthy nutrients with natural sweetness so that it still feels like dessert, but you're slowing down your digestion and you're keeping your blood sugar much more stable after you're done eating. So now the fix to this is to tweak the desserts to make them healthier. How do we do this? We want to target real whole food ingredients. We want to include all components of the healthy trifecta, which is fiber, healthy fat, and protein. So if we're including things in our dessert that are sweet flavored, we probably already have sugar in there. But as long as the sugars or the carbohydrates come along with things that provide us fiber and protein and a healthy source of fat, it's going to keep us full, but also stabilize our blood sugar after we're done eating. And this balance ultimately will allow you to both enjoy the sweetness and stay on track with your diabetes management, which is really the goal. Now, this might sound good in theory, but you might be thinking, I don't actually know how to implement this. How do I eat the healthy trifecta? Or I'm not even sure I fully understand what Dr. Anna's talking about here. Don't worry if that's you. I've created a free ebook that's called The Perfect Meal Formula. I have a link in the description below this video where you can grab your free copy. Now, this is a step-by-step simple guide that helps you navigate building balanced meals. And yes, even balanced desserts. So this will help you keep your blood sugar stable, your taste buds happy, and your diabetes in control. So grab your free copy. The link is in the description below this video. Okay, now I want to dive into 5 fabulous dessert ideas that you can start eating right away that target the healthy trifecta. So the first one is a chocolate avocado mousse. Now, this one will require you to have either a blender or a hand mixer, unless you got a lot of muscle power and you want to do the mixing by hand. What you want to do is you take really ripe avocados with some unsweetened cocoa powder, add any milk. It can be real dairy milk, it can be a milk alternative, plus a natural sweetener. For you, this might be honey, maple syrup, stevia, monk fruit, or even some cane sugar. There's nothing wrong with some cane sugar as long as you're controlling the amount you have. Now, the avocados are providing us with a healthy source of fat, and what most people don't realize is that avocado provides a lot of fiber. So this is both the fat and the fiber will help us slow down digestion, and the cacao or the cocoa will provide delicious flavor. It's going to taste like chocolate and some antioxidants. Now, once you whip that up, either in the blender or with a hand mixer or you hand beat it, you want to top it off with some crunchy bits or some juicy additives. So this could be berries or cherries, nuts or seeds, coconut shreds, anything that's just going to enhance the flavor. And this thing is going to blow your mind if you've never made it before. All right, second dessert idea. This is really easy. You make a Greek yogurt dessert parfait with berries and nuts. It's very similar to the first one, but instead of the base being avocado, the base here is going to be yogurt. Ideally, you'd want to use an unsweetened Greek yogurt. This will provide you with a potent source of protein. Then you add to it some low glycemic berries, anything in season or anything you have available to you. It could be blueberries, raspberries, whichever you like. And then knowing that these are going to add some natural sweetness, some antioxidants, you may or may not want to add some extra sweetener on top of it. You have to do this to your taste preference. Not everybody likes very sweet flavors. Some people like the flavor of something tangy. Then you want to chop on top some pecans, almonds, walnuts, anything that's going to boost up the fiber, boost up the healthy fat, and provide you with a satisfying crunch. Now, if you're somebody who loves chocolate, you can absolutely put some chocolate shavings on top of this, and that is just going to round it all out. All right, the third dessert idea, this one actually will require you to do some baking. So if you're a baker and you like to make cakes, I like to suggest that you look up a cake recipe for an olive oil cake. The reason for this is that olive oil is one of the healthiest fats we can have. It is really based in a good balance of what we call unsaturated fatty acids, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated fatty acids. Now, you don't need to know the nitty-gritty of the biochemistry to understand that olive oil is a very healthy fat for us. The research is very consistent with showing that when we are replacing sources of fat, which have saturated fat, which usually come from animals, so things like butter, lard, tallow, if we replace that with monounsaturated fatty acids, it gives us a lot of heart-healthy benefit. So the target here is that you bake a cake that has olive oil instead of a cake that maybe has a lard, shortening, or butter. I'm not saying lard, shortening, butter are inherently evil for our body. We just want to be able to kind of tweak the ratio more in favor of unsaturated fatty acids that olive oil provides. So you bake this cake recipe. It's going to be very moist, very flavorful, and the texture is super fluffy. If you've never baked one of these cakes, I cannot emphasize enough how fantastic it is. Sometimes there's, lemon or limoncello flavored or orange. There's really a lot of variety. It depends on what you find online. I encourage you to really explore. Now, olive oil cake, any kind of cake rather, is going to have refined flour. So the thing with refined flour is it allows for this really fluffy, flaky texture of whatever baked good we're making, but ultimately that removes the fiber. So what I like to do here is suggest that folks put that fiber back in, put in some shaved or slivered almonds, pistachios, walnuts, pecans, any nut that's going to add some crunch, but it's also going to add some fiber back in. And quite honestly, in life, there's always space for cake. I really do believe that. I think it's important for our soul. It's an important part of celebrations, birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, etc. So it's all about just enhancing the amount of healthier desserts we can include in our life. Okay, fourth dessert idea. This one's really easy. Dark chocolate almond clusters. Now, some people like to melt down the chocolate and make like a chocolate bark, where then they would take kind of a wax paper, chop up some nuts or seeds, or maybe some freeze-dried fruits, and then put it on a pan sheet with all the fixins and then freeze it and then break it up. And now you have like a chocolate bark. But if you're a little bit lazier and you're not going to do all of that process, you quite simply can get a dark chocolate bar. You'd want to target a chocolate bar that's like 70% dark or higher, because the higher it is, the less added sugar there is. And then you can add to it some chopped up nuts or just whole form nuts. What we're doing with the nuts is that we're adding the fiber and we're adding healthy fat. And there's not as much protein in nuts as we think there is, but there is some. So it's still targeting our healthy trifecta. The fifth dessert idea that I have for you is usually something that's a bit more fall inspired, but it's baked cinnamon apples with almond butter. Now, this is a simple one. You take an apple sliced up, you sprinkle it with cinnamon, sometimes a little bit of brown sugar or stevia, whichever kind of sweetener you like, and then you bake it. You want to add a very small amount of sugar. Now, the sugar, and you could even put in a little salt, that solute or that sugar crystal is going to help draw out the natural juices in the apple, of which there are many. The juice inside provides us with a source of sweetness as well as tanginess. Depends on your variety of apple. Of course, a lot of us realize that the green apples are usually a lot more sour than something like a red delicious apple. So you pick any variety of apple you like, depending on the sweetness or tanginess that you prefer. You bake it with the cinnamon is going to help stabilize blood sugar regulation. We know lots of herbs and spices do this extremely well. And the flavor of cinnamon kind of tricks our brain into thinking something is sweet. This is a trick I like to use all the time. If you add cinnamon to your cooking, to your baking, you're automatically going to have your brain think that something's sweeter than maybe it is. And so you can get away with adding less sugar to whatever you're making. And then we want to add on top some creamy almond butter. Now that almond is going to provide us some protein, some healthy fat. The fiber that is in the nuts is going to be a little bit less once you blend it up, because it's that process of blending that starts breaking it down, but it is still in there, especially if you use a chunky style of almond butter. Okay, I promised you in the beginning of this video I was going to give a bonus tip. Now, the bonus tip here is to try freezing grapes or berries for a really quick, natural sweet treat. Some of you, especially in the summertime, like to cool off, and it's so easy to reach for something like a popsicle, which is going to be maybe naturally sweetened with real fruit juice. But what you have to understand is when you're eating anything fruit that is extracted and is no longer in the whole fruit form, you're taking that sugar and removing it from the natural fiber. And the name of the game with blood sugar regulation is to include as many components of the healthy trifecta as possible, including the fiber. So here, you're having a frozen treat, but you're still including the fiber. So at least it's going to be a little bit better for you. I'm telling you, my patients love to do this. My younger sister is actually the first person who taught me to freeze grapes, and it's just such a fun little thing to eat. So I want you to comment in this video, share below with us what dessert ideas you like, what works for you with your diabetes, what's challenging for you with your diabetes. If we share ideas with each other, we're going to help enhance the health of this community, and it's going to taste a lot more delicious, all the things that we're going to come up with, all of our ideas. So comment below, let me know, let us know what desserts you like, which ones you can't deal with, and we'll probably all learn something new from that. Now, you've watched the dessert video, but really to set yourself up for absolute success, you have to check out my other videos on diabetes, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even snack ideas. I have all of those videos on this channel. Jump into them. I'll see you in there.